my loves, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Joy. Guys, Biden does not look like Biden. I don't know if you guys saw, he did a video yesterday. He finally gave a speech since he was removed from office or he stepped down, whatever. It looks weird. Guys, here's the thing. It's not fun for me to look like a conspiracy nut. This isn't a fun image, but I have to wonder how real is what we're seeing. And I want to break down for you exactly what I'm seeing and see if you see it too. But did you guys catch it? Did it look real? Did it look like him? Just a lot of odd things, and we're going to go over it. And guys, if you like content like this, make sure and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, guys, as I'm doing this, do this along with me and sound off in the comments. Tell me what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're observing as well. Leave me a like, everything helps. So let's just go ahead and dive in. So first of all, the internet is screaming that this is a deep fake. I want you guys to know up front, I'm going to say this. I'm not an AI specialist whatsoever. I mean, those of you that watch me, you know that. I'm just going to give you my opinions. Also, guys, I can't sit here and definitively tell you one way or another what's going on. All I'm going to point out are the inconsistencies and the things that look really weird. So I just want to say that. So first of all, this is the first time we have seen him address the nation since he left. You guys know when he stepped down, he basically put up a letter on Twitter that looked like it wasn't his signature or it was forged. It wasn't on any presidential letterhead. Didn't say anything about Kamala. It was only in the tweets after that said, oh, I endorse Kamala. Go do this to her campaign. And we heard nothing. So the story was he has COVID and that he's holed up at his house, that he got COVID. And if you guys remember, he had been saying, I'm not leaving the race. I'm not leaving the race. And then all of a sudden he said, well, okay. And this was right around the RNC. He said, I would only leave if there was a medical emergency. And hours after saying that, he's got COVID. And then he's in Delaware. So leaks had come out from the police and authorities that actually he was holed up in Las Vegas and that he had either had a stroke or he was on his deathbed. But he was in Delaware, and the only sign of life we had was a call that I went over with you guys, that phone call into Kamala Harris's, one of the HQs. It sounded pre-recorded. Even Kamala sounded like she was about to say, thank you for the recording. He wasn't interacting with the crowd. It's like he couldn't hear anything. And granted, because he was calling in to a crowd, I could kind of understand maybe if that was the case, but he didn't make any gaffes. It was the most coherent he ever sounded. Now, everybody started doing the Kate Middleton thing. Where is Kate? Where is Biden? Is Biden okay? Is Biden okay? We need signs of life. And I've been telling you guys for a while, I'm one of the only channels I know that's been saying, I'm concerned we have a Britney Spears situation. What people don't understand about Britney, because I was one of the leading voices, well, I don't know about leading, but I was one of the big voices in that movement, was we have to look at what happened with Britney. She was kidnapped. She was medically kidnapped. This is legal kidnapping, what happened to her. And trafficking. Trafficking. She was forced to perform against her will in a very intimate way. I don't know how else you don't see that as SA trafficking. I'm not saying penetration happened. I'm just saying she was forced to go on a stage and she was forced to perform in a way that was intimate against her will. So I'm not saying that that's happening with Biden about the SA stuff, but I am saying I'm concerned this is a medical kidnapping situation. So as that fervor started to happen and we had different people in the government step up and say, we want proof of life, we have that phone call, that ain't gonna do it. Suddenly, miraculously, oh, he just tested. He doesn't have COVID. Now he's asymptomatic, symptom-free. In fact, he didn't really have symptoms before. If he didn't really have symptoms before, why did we rush him home like that for days? I don't know. All of this smells really weird. So then it's, okay, right as this fervor is happening, and I think they learned with Kate Middleton about this, they're like, all right. So what we're going to do is he's going to now address the nation. Also, we didn't have a press conference from his team. That only happened yesterday, which we'll get into in another video. And guys, it just looks weird. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video, and I want you guys to tell me what you think. So a few things I want to show that I want you to look for. Look at his body movements. Everything looks robotic and unnatural. I'm going to say that I think this was pre-recorded. Now, apparently, if you look in the window, you can see the speech text of the prompter. So that's another thing you can look for, which that doesn't say whether it is or isn't fake. These are just some things to go over. We're going to watch the Fox News one, and the Fox News one, because they streamed this from different places, he's looking directly at the camera. In the White House one, he's like looking from the side. Also in the White House one, it's like the table isn't even. Just some weird things. Also, I want you to look at the color of his skin. And another thing, I want you to watch his mouth. Watch his mouth movements as we go through this with what he's saying. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. And again, this is from Fox News. Tell me, guys, what do you see with this?
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more.
So it's interesting because even though people are screaming deepfake, I will say there's a lot of slurs. I had to, when I first watched this, because this isn't my first reaction, I had to go, what did he say? And I had to go back. That was one of those, what did he say moments. But so far, it actually sounds and looks more coherent, even though there's mess ups, than I feel like we've seen before. I just want to point that out.
More. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. And we can never forget that. And I never have.
It sounds too coherent. I don't know what to say. This sounds way too coherent. Like, and a lot of times lately when he's speaking in things, the hands, the body language does not match up. Also, look how tan he looks. Look, they called Trump orange forever. Now, Trump is out hours a day golfing. It makes sense why he's a bit tanner. And look, maybe Trump does tan, and that's more power to him if that's what he wants to do, right? Vitamin D is extremely good for you. I'm not saying that fake tanning gives you that, but being outside, having tan skin, I think that's one of the reasons why we are attracted to that as a society is because it's a sign of health. I mean, we can argue that a few different ways though, right? Because like, a lot of times attraction also, it's not just physiological, it's going to depend on where you're at, but everything for our bodies is going to be, what attracts our bodies is what is the healthiest, what is the best chance of offspring. That will be different depending on your culture and where you're at, but in our culture, tanned skin is more of a sign of health, and I think that's because of what vitamin D does to your body. It's indicative of that. That's just one of my opinions here. But I don't know, does COVID make your skin tan? Is that something COVID does? I don't know, guys.
I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments.
The mouth. Look at the mouth. An inflection point. Like, again, things don't. To me, this feels like the best deepfake they can do with what they have so far in technology, but things just aren't quite lining up. Also, is it just me or, like, if this was pre-recorded, is this a film studio? I don't know. This is such a tight angle with the camera. I could see this possibly being a film studio. This could be pre-recorded. The problem is we just don't know.
Moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do?
All right, so of course we heard just fellow Americans. Okay, sound off in the comments if you know this, because I don't. When it comes to AI, can AI fake gaffes like that? I would assume yes, but I just don't know that we've come far enough in our technology. Maybe we have. Well, and then I can argue that too, though, because the government ends up having all these hidden technologies from us we don't get access to. So maybe they do actually have technology that's way better than what we are aware of exists. As I've talked about before, the medbed technology, beds you lay in to do light and sound frequency that can fix pretty much anything in the body within reason. Also, the technology of what stem cells can actually do, like regrowing limbs, regrowing organs, we don't get access to that. Or 5D printing. What's 5D printing and 4D printing? Well, you know what 3D printers are. It's the next step. It's basically you can manifest, for the most part, whatever it is you want or need. That's how the ETs do it. That's how the Pleiadians do it that I work with. So I don't know. That's the hard part. And this is why on my channel, I hope you get a well-rounded opinion. Like, I could argue both sides of this. The problem is in our society right now, we do not have a basis or an agreement on what is truth. And there's so much deception and manipulation everywhere. When you don't know, when there's no markers to distinguish the truth, it's where it gets really scary.
Do that. Does character in public life still matter? I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this. We are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promise to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country, is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much.
And those of us who cherry the cause, cherish. I think he meant cherish, but it said cherry. This one's a hard one, guys. This doesn't look real. The movements don't look real. The mouth isn't like syncing up sometimes. This doesn't sound real, but it's also every so often we're throwing in some gaffes that sound like what he do. But then aside from the gaffes, this does sound and look more coherent body language and vocal language than what we've seen in a really long time. Like, tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if I'm the only one seeing this, because sometimes when you get so focused on an idea, like right now I'm hyper-focused on the fact that we've been lied to when it comes to this shooting repeatedly, because we have. But sometimes when your focus is so much in that place, you're going to see everything from that lens, even if that's not the case. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to just see everything from that lens and constantly be creating a story in my head and then trying to find information to bolster that narrative. I'm trying to get to the truth. So tell me, guys, am I totally off base? And maybe I am.
A cause of American democracy itself.
American democracy itself. Can AI fake that?
Must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. But there's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period.
Unless you're BLM or Antifa, then you have every right to be as violent or awful as you want to, and you have no consequences. Yet January 6th, make it make sense.
I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from...
I'm going to keep speaking out. I'm going to keep speaking now.
Gun violence. Our planet from climate crisis is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we...
This is another one I had to go back on. His cancer moonshot. What in the HELL is a cancer moonshot? And saying that, if he's got better medicine and technology to cure cancer, I'm all for it. Do I think that's the case? No. I know for myself, with the research I've done, the fact that I have uterine cancer, this is something I've been working on that we're eradicating. Cancer should be as easy to cure as the common cold. Should. Again, the word should. I'm not saying is, I'm saying should. In our society, is that the case? No. But remember, guys, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, people died from cold and flu. And I feel like in 50, 100 years, we're going to look at cancer the same way. Because it's so easy. It can be fixed with light and sound technology frequencies. The ancients knew that. That's why they had all these different huge cathedrals and these different places, especially the really old ancient civilizations, where you could do sound baths. So it's frustrating when I hear this cancer moonshot, knowing that he knows full well as everybody around him, well, the upper people, that they've had the cures to cancer forever. We just don't get them. And that's why with my health journey, I am bound and determined. If I'm going to stay alive and figure it out, I'm going to give you guys the answers I find, because Western modern medicine is not it for me. They are not helping me. And many of you I know, they do not help you. It's not because I think the workers are horrible people. Understand, some of the best people I've ever met are medical workers. Some of the worst ones I've met. They aren't trained to fix the human body. Our society does not allow them to actually do the job that they have. Many of them will even tell you this. They end up basically being drug pushers, and they know that. But then they're saddled with debt, and they can't really get out of the situation. That's why also many of them end up turning to naturopathic medicine and holistic. Because everybody's body is different. What works for me may not work for you. This is why I'm careful about not even promoting the people I've worked with or even promoting the therapies I've done yet, because I want to make sure not only do they work for me, but I like big disclaimers. I would never tell everybody go get on carnivore like me. It did fix a lot of things, but in the end, y'all saw my hair fall out and y'all saw my skin get translucent. It ended up breaking things too. For the wrong person, it will not work. So anyways, that personally, this is just me going on a bit of a rant and a tangent, really, really bothers me when I hear about a cancer moonshot. They're sitting on all the technology to heal everything going on with us, and they're just not going to give it to us because they want us as slaves. When we are slaves, we are slave labor, and they can pay us slave wages, if anything, and they can use our energy and they get off from it. Because you would think, well, if they have all this technology, why not share it? Because they're psychopaths who like and enjoy keeping people in poverty. They get energy from that. Not good energy, but it doesn't matter. They have not learned how to fulfill those holes in themselves, so they put any energy in there. Sad.
We can do it. And I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform, because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong, secure, and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world.
I'm the first president in history that can say America's not in war anywhere in the world. We weren't at war with Trump, so that's a lie, number one. But number two, what do you call what's going on in the Middle East? Palestine. What do we call that? What do we call Ukraine? It's like they not only do they think that we're stupid, they also think, well, even if they know the information is wrong, because we fed them the bedtime story that they think that they want, that we've conditioned them to believe that they want, they'll go along with anything we say. They will just let that cognitive dissonance fly.
We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States.
Something else, when he does gaffes, typically his body language gets way, way off. Like the hands will go up and stay up. We'll have fists that stay a while. Like his body language isn't matching up with the gaffes we're seeing. Another thing. Now, here's something else. If he just had COVID, and remember, we saw that video where it looked like he had a hard time walking up the stairs, which a lot of people are also saying is fake. I don't know, but that's another one where people said that doesn't look real. There are just things that they're not adding up here. The body language is just not adding up. But it's also possible if he just had COVID, did they give him a steroid shot? Do you remember with Trump, when Trump had COVID, I forget what they gave him, but they gave him a few experimental things. And he kept saying, I feel great, I've got energy. And I was saying part of that is because they gave him a steroid. I am somebody who has histamine issues. I have a histamine disorder. Steroids are some of the only things that can calm it down. A lot of times I have to live on low doses of steroid, which I don't like. Steroids can give you, if you take large quantities of them, can give you energy. For me, like if people were having a big asthmatic flare up, they might give you 40 to 60 milligrams and then taper down. I will take 5 to 10 with my issues to get them under control. So in my case, it's not enough that it's going to give you a boost, but if you take the larger amounts, it will give you a short-term boost of energy. And I'm wondering if part of what we're seeing, maybe things aren't matching up because he's on steroids, but will the steroids counteract the Parkinson's? I don't know that. I'm telling you all that to say I'm trying to play devil's advocate here on why things aren't adding up to what we're seeing. Just because they're not adding up doesn't mean it's a deep fake and a big conspiracy, but it doesn't take away from all the lies we have to where now we don't believe anything.
That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities.
Winter apparel. He couldn't get the word winter out, and then winter apparel. Winter of possibilities. What? Because I'm disabled, and you guys know sometimes I have sensory issues and I have a hard time taking in information. I'm like, is this me having a malfunction, or is what he's saying doesn't make sense? I don't know whether or not I shouldn't be trusting me or him.
Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. But we came together as Americans, and we got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who are exposed to toxic materials. You know, the most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. And today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President, Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable.
A lot of weird swallowing going on. I feel like we haven't heard as much weird swallowing before, but it seems like every other sentence there's some really weird swallowing sounds. Am I the only one hearing that? Also, like, I've heard all these talking points. I'm so just tired of all the BS that comes out.
She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
I'm not really sure at this point what to say. I feel like, and I've said this before, I feel like I'm back in my abusive relationships where I'm being gaslit about the reality I see in front of my face and told it's wrong and I am just crazy, which a lot of us, both men and women, have gone through if you've been in dating at all. First of all, this was supposed to address why he stepped down. We didn't hear any of that. We didn't get any answers as to why he stepped down. I feel like all we heard is that I'm stepping down because I needed to unite the party. Unity, unity, unity. This just seemed like it was a commercial to endorse Kamala and also to get everybody to shut up about whether or not he's alive. That's what this seemed like. And it's weird because even though we saw some gaffes, I can't help but the mouth isn't syncing up with what he's saying sometimes. The body language isn't syncing up with how he typically does gaffes. He's really, really tan. And I think at this point, what we need for proof of life is going to be like a press conference, which I don't think we're going to get. Interesting. His press secretary, she just held the first press briefing and they said, it's been 9 days and he quit. Why did you not do a press briefing? And she said, it's because it's policy that we don't do one until the president is here. We don't do them when he's gone. That's just the way we've always done things. I don't buy it, but okay, I can understand if that's some weird policy they have in place or something. But then, and I'll have a video about this later, she said there's no conspiracy. He's just fine. He's only stepping down for the unity of the party. Does anybody really believe that? This guy that called into Fox News, ranting, raving, screaming, I'm just so fed up with the elites. I'm not going anywhere. None of this adds up and none of this makes sense. In saying that, I want to make sure and say, I'm not saying this is a deep fake. I am not saying this isn't real. What I am saying is that when you've been lied to enough, you then can't trust anything. And when we don't have a basis in what truth and reality is, when we don't have that agreement in society, this is where it's a very scary point where we can be manipulated. And I'm talking both sides. I feel like it's more the left being manipulated at this point, but in the past it's been the right. And there are times I see the right lying too. But I think people who are on the right have gone there because they're tired of the extreme left. So I think you have more middle of the road, moderate people like myself and probably you guys watching going, well, this is just crazy. So I don't know. I'm really skeptical about this. And I want to know, what do you guys think? Why did we not hear? We didn't get any actual answers. This was just a Kamala commercial. I also have a theory. I wonder if him endorsing Kamala the way he did last second was a way to get back at the elites for making him drop out. That's for another video, but I almost wonder if that was his big last FU for pushing him out. Is he somewhere on a ventilator? Like, is he somewhere on life support? I feel like we need a press conference. We need more signs of life. What do you guys think? What do you think about my assessment? What do you think about what you just saw? Tell me your thoughts, guys. Send up in the comments. If you like content like this, make sure and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like the video. Everything helps. And stay tuned. We got a lot of crazy information coming out over the next couple days. Because, and I said this before and I've been calling it, they're going to lie. And then over the weeks, slowly, information will trickle out about what's actually true. And then a lot of us were correct. All right, guys. Until the next one, I'm giving you all hugs, kisses. Stay safe. And as always, your girl will see you soon. Bye.